Today we are back again, continuing our lesson on programming with C++. And what we are doing today is classes. Yeah, classes. So in programming, in C++, we have what we call classes. So a class is a user-defined data type that we can use in our program, and it works as an object constructor or a blueprint for creating objects. So a class is like a blueprint that leads you to create objects easily. Attributes and methods are basically variables and functions that belong to the class. These are often referred to as class members. So a class is made up of attributes and variables, which are collectively called class members. So without wasting more time, we'll take on the structure of what a class looks like. So the structure of a class. We start by the class name. Then you bring the curly braces. So when you open the curly braces, within the curly braces, then you bring the access specifier, and then after that you bring the attribute, then you bring the method. So this is the basic structure of a class. All these members play key role. Going forward, we'll break them down and see the key role they perform. So this is just a basic structure of what a class should look like. So taking this basic structure into consideration, we'll now make what a class looks like. So it starts by saying you bring the class name. So what you do is first introduce the class. You bring the class name. So let's say the name of my class is my record. The name of my class is my record. Class I want to use. So after that, so within my record, you bring the access specifier, whether you want this particular class to be accessible globally or accessible to a specific group of people. So this is supposed to be globally accessible. So we use the public access specifier, which specifies that this should be accessible to from anywhere within the code. So after that, then you bring the attributes, which are the components or the components of the class. So let's see, the first attribute is the student. As this is a record, so let's say we are creating a student record. So first of all, it's always going to be a student name. So we'll bring the string data type. They will bring my name. Then after that, we terminate it. Then obviously we'll need the student age. So we bring an integer. Then bring my age. Then we terminate this as well. Then we also bring, let's see, okay, so for now we just need the age. So after this, with which this now have to introduce the method with which this class should be gotten. So that's what we call the method. So let's say we want to use the get method. So now we int get age. Then you open your curly braces, after which you terminate. So basically, this is what a normal class looks like. So when we say class, the keyword is used to create a class called my record. Yeah, as seen out here. So use this class keyword, this keyword here, use it to create a class called my record. So the public key is the access specifier. This is which specifies members and which are the attributes and the methods of the class to be accessible from outside the class. So this means the members of this class, which is my name and my age, can be outside this class as well. And then inside the class, we have the string variable, which is my name, and then we have the integer variable, which is my age. They are called attributes here. These two, because they form the inner part of the the class. And then lastly, we have the we have the get method. So this the method. So the method is what is used to access files from the class. So without the method, you won't be able to out or access any file from within the class. So the methods are functions that belong to the class. There are two types of methods. There are two ways to define functions that belong to a class. It's inside class definition or outside class definition. So let's say for the inside class definition, you define a method in the my record class. So just like this is an inside class definition because the method is inside the class, which is the my record class. But then an outside class definition, but then for an outside class definition, it means the get the method for getting the file the method for getting the means the method for getting the attributes of the class will not be inside the class but outside the class instead. So we have rules that govern a class. So before you get to the rules, we have what we call class constructors. So a class constructor is a special method that is automatically called when an object of a class is created. So to create a constructor, use the same name as the class followed by a parenthesis. So you can create a class constructor whose whose job is to create a special method to automatically call an object of a class when it is created. That's the function of a class constructor. So, so now we have the class access specifier. So the class access specifiers are also known as access modifier members, which are the attributes and the methods of a class can be accessed. So to help protect data and organize code, they help to protect the data of the class and organize the codes so that only the right parts can be seen or changed. So we have three types of access specifiers. We have the public, the private, and the protected. So the public one declares a public attribute in the my record. So it makes just like we have it can be accessed from even outside the class. But we have the private, which means members can so it means the members declared as private cannot be accessed from outside the class. So when if I'm to change this to if I'm to change this to if I'm to change this to private now, then it means anything cannot be accessed. That's what it means. Once you change it to private, it means any data, any attributes inside that particular class cannot be accessed outside the class. We also have the protected. So in the protected access specifier, the members declared as protected cannot be accessed from outside the class, but they can be accessed in child classes. So going forward, we know we'll get to the point where we so protected is just change this and then it becomes protected. So for the so let's see, now we have the class. To the class, we have in the class we have what we call this pointer. The this pointer is a pointer that points to the current instance of a class. It is used within the member function of a class to refer to the object of that class. It allows access to the calling object data and methods. So what the let's see what the this pointer looks like. So the this pointer is something like this. So this pointer is something that looks like this. So you use it like this. Then you bring this, you bring this, then this. Then you bring my age. Bring my age. Then terminate this. So this is basically how the this pointer functions. So the this pointer, what you refer to the this pointer is this particular this that has the hyphen and then the greater sign in front of it. That's what we call the this pointer. So we have what we call an object of a class. An object is an instance of a class created from a class. So to create an object of a class, we specify the class name followed by the object name. So let's say we want to create an object for this class. So you bring the class name and then bring the object name. So let's come here. So so far whatever we've done, when we run it won't work because we don't have the header file and then the std library here. But we are just using this to make some basic explanations, and then after that we'll make a we'll create a real program and we'll run it to see how it functions. So to create a record, you said you bring a class name. So the name of my class now is my record. I've brought my class now. So let's see, I want to create a record about myself. So my record. Hmm. So it could be about anyone. It could be Albert, or it could be anyone's record at all. So this is how we create an object. So a single line of this is what we call an object. We also have what we call multiple objects. So multiple objects is when you have more than one object. So these three combined is a multiple object, or just these two combined are also multiple objects. So now we want to know how to access a class member. Yes, we want to know how to access a class member. So in accessing a class member, we have a syntax. So you use the dot operator. So class members can be accessed when objects of the class are created using the dot operator. So the dot operator is simply a full stop. So and so you use the dot operator and assign name. So the syntax is that, let's say this you use the operator, then you bring the member. So this is what it basically looks like. So using this example I have up here, let's see what it looks like. So the record is my record sham. That's the record. So to access the class member, what we will now do is sham operator. Then you get the access specifier, which is a get. then you bring the age. So after that, then you bring the so then you terminate this. So this is how you get the class member. So you can class member. You can modify a class member. So to modify a class member, this is when you to modify this is member to access a class member. But now we are coming to talk about how to modify a class member. You still use the same assignment operator. So before you get the assignment operator, you need to use your record. So let's say I'm still using my record sham, right? So let's just come down here. Then to access to modify my age that is at my age, I'll now bring my name, my and then I'll bring the assignment operator, then I'll bring 20, then I'll terminate it. So at this point, I've modified my age that is here for my age that is here for Sham. So whenever I call this class and I call the member Sham in this class, what age and I call the member, the value that will be there is 20 because that's what I've modified for there. So in a class, we can have what we call a static member. Yes. So class static members. So we have members of a class that can be declared as static. Static means they are not associated with objects of a class but the class itself. Creating any so let's say I want to create so I want to create I want to create a static I want to create a static member. So for this static member, you now have to come down here to where to after public, then you bring static after you bring the static, then you bring the data type. So static string, which is my DOB, which is like my data. So from here, this static here means the date of birth is is fixed. It won't be it can't be changed. Right? To access this date of birth, you won't have to create an object access it. All you just need to do is to call the class and then this date of birth will automatically appear. So to initialize a static class, what you have to do now is to initialize a static class. What you have to do now initialize a static class. What you have to do now is you bring the string, then bring the my record. After my record, then you bring the double colon, then you bring my DOB, which is my date of birth, and then you bring your assignment operator, and then you add. So DOB here actually means day of birth. So mine is Tuesday, so I'll say Tuesday. But since it's a string, you need to bring the double quotation to signify that it's actually a string word. Then you terminate this. So is a static. This is a static member of a class. This member of the class does not change. It does not require any change. So all the class and you can access it easily. So we have classes in object-oriented programming. So what are classes in object-oriented programming? Class object-oriented programming is about creating objects, which hold data and functions that work on that data. are used oriented concepts such as encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. So, what do we mean by inheritance? So, inheritance allows class to reuse attributes and methods from another class. It helps you write cleaner, more efficient codes by avoiding duplications. That's basically what the inheritance. Two types of inheritance. You have the and then we have the base class. So the derived class is like the child class. So the derived class is a class that inherits from another class. So the derived class gets its members or its attributes from a different class. And then we have the base class. So the base class is like the parent class where the derived class inherits its attributes from. So the base class is the class being inherited from by the derived. Also, we have what we call encapsulation. So encapsulations ensure that sensitive data is hidden from the users. So the use of the private access specifier is in classes helps achieve encapsulation. So earlier we talked about the private access specifier. So this access specifier is a form of encapsulation which prevents people from seeing things that they are not supposed to see. So the use of the setter into bracket set data into bracket get allows the reading and modification of private members. Also, we have the polymorphism. So the polymorphism means many forms. That's what the polymorphism means. So polymorphism occurs when we have many classes that are related to each other by inheritance. It uses methods inherited from another class to perform different tasks. So let's say we have a derived class that is derived from another derived class. So the parent class of those two derived classes makes those that three stretch of classes and inheritance a polymorphism because they are all relying on each other to get their attributes to be able to function. That's what we mean by polymorphism. So right now, I would like to right now I would like us to write a simple code. So I would now like us to write a simple C++ code to shed more light on the classes. So we will now have a simple C++ code to now get the main concept of classes. For this class, we'll take out this for the meantime. So we want to create a student record class. So the name of this class is going to be student. So we bring the class, then we bring the class name, which is student, then open our curly braces. So we want this student information to be private, and then over here we bring the attributes of a class. So these are the members of a class. So now we create a public record. So now it's public. After which we use the void to set so cin comma okay, then we'll bring the colon here, we'll bring the termination here. So after this we'll now come and see out again, but this time in this one we enter age, enter age, enter, then 19 minutes, then this will now become C in age, then terminate this, then now bring the C in after which we bring this, then you can, so now we bring the void, then you bring to over here, then C out, and then terminate this, then C out again, when you C out, this will be the name. And then come down again and shout again. This will be the age. Then come down again. Then this will be the index number. Then the end line, then terminate this as well. After which you come down to the then close another curly brace again. Then terminate to this one. Then now bring your int main. After you bring your int main, then you find now students. 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 Then up and down. Then you see out. So when you can then see out. Students. Bring this. Then terminate this. Then cancel this. This will become student dot set data. Student dot set data terminate. Then student dot data terminate. So let's see whether we have any error in it. Okay. So we are having an error here. So what we are going to do now is copy this code. Let's see if this is working now. So this is a corrected code. So okay, so the student record is name. So this is what the class actually does. This is how we use a class. So this is a private class. This is a public gate scheme, and this is what the class is all about. Thank you for